Hello, this is week 2 of the 13-week fiscal program for American Descendants of Slavery. You have myself, Chief Biko, today, as well as Chief Quietwater. And here we focus more so on the first letter in the acronym ADOS, which is American. I will start off today by reading the 12 steps for American Descendants of Slavery. Pull this up here, and I want to share it that way they can see. Participants. All right. So the 13-week practical program. Step 1, learn about the estate or estates your family originated from. Step 2, who established that estate. Step 3, what nation and confederacy had jurisdiction over that area prior to the European. Step 4, ask all nonprofit organizations you attend, what's your position on reparations? Step 5, they either support it or they don't. No support, no money. However, if they support it, then immediately children and adults need weekly classes free of charge about steps 1, 2, and 3, and field trips to ADOS landmarks in that city, county, and state. Step 6, don't support European holidays for the remainder of the 13-week time frame. Step 7, avoid spending money with any small businesses that doesn't or does not hire your people, gas stations, nail salons, subways, etc. Step 8, all businesses need operating cash. Spend money with American Black businesses. Step 9, all other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trends of making other groups follow our lead and support our clubs, services, products, and entertainment. Step 10 rather. The US government is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve prints money, i.e. quantitative easing. It also burns money, i.e. quantitative tightening. The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold since Richard Nixon in 1971, the Gold Standard Act. The government operates off the full faith of its citizens to pay debt and taxes. American descendants of slavery no longer have faith in the US government. This is why financial support will be altered, stopped, and redirected. Step 11, teach your children 1 hour a day about their history on this land. Have them learn about an American inventor. Have them know about their heroes. C, they should know the European that conquered the estate you live in. And D, they should know the nation of people prior to European invasion, militarily and culturally. Step 12, practicing these steps will educate us on the land we're claiming America and attaches us to the history and laws of the US government. Every state American descendants of slavery live in should have steps 1, 2, and 3 advertised via social media, radio, and newspaper. This in 13 weeks, one fiscal quarter, will bring us together for our common cause. All right, stop sharing here. And I'll also do the inventor for this week. And this week's inventor, we have Robert F. Flemmings. Robert F. Flemmings was the inventor of the guitar or the modern day acoustic guitar. The patent was approved March 3rd, 1886. And that patent number is 338727. Again, that patent number is 338727. And it's funny that this patent was approved March 3rd, 1886. We know we're just pretty much, that's pretty much right after the Civil War there. And also,
Right.
just a tidbit, he was in the Union Army, this particular American here. And that's Robert F. Flemmings.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And so I will do the Dr. Carter G. Woodson quote, number 5 this week. So, real education means to inspire people to live more abundantly, to learn, to begin with life as they find it and make it better. But the instruction so far given Negroes in college and universities has worked to the contrary. In most cases, such graduates have merely increased the number of malcontents who offer no program for changing the undesirable conditions about which they complain. One should rely upon protests only when it is supported by a constructive program. So I definitely agree with that in regards to what the definition of real education. What we know is definitely total opposite of what
Correct.
this definition is. Um,
Correct.
all right, I will do the maroon points. So the maroon historical points. Number one was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law. Number two, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number three, Maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number four, Maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. Number five, Maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans. And
Thank
the
you.
legal definitions. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, my fault, my fault.
Okay, and the legal definitions. Number one, American is a native of America, descendants, one who follow in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Number three, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number four, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number five, school, an institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. And number six, education and enlightening experience.
Thank you, Chief Quietwater. And last but not least, we'll go ahead and read the certain sections that we usually highlight within the Constitution here. Go ahead and share my screen. Um, Go ahead and start here with Section 10 in the Constitution. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. So again, the only thing that is actually considered money would be gold and silver because that is the only tender that is acceptable under the U.S. Constitution that will be accepted to actually pay off any debts. Also, want to highlight within this first sentence here, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation. And we just saw while reading the Emancipation Proclamation that there was a pseudo or false confederation or Confederate nation that the Southern states pretty much went under. So that went strictly against what they established within this Constitution.
Right.
Let me see here. I think somebody might have chimed in. Mm-mm. We have somebody else join us. I have to let them in real quick. Next, I would go to Article 6. Article 6 here, okay? Let me zoom in real quick. And in Article 6 here, we have pretty much where it states the treaty is the highest law of the land. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. So again, the treaties are the supreme law of the land, and what we'll be going over today is the Amnesty Proclamation, which is supposedly ended the Civil War, but again, it was no treaty.
Right.
Again, an Amnesty Proclamation, not a treaty. So that's one key just to highlight while we review this Amnesty Proclamation that
Okay.
going forward.
I just think it's important to just continue to drill that in of how it never ended.
Correct.
And so we'll
Correct.
be able to further explain and to show in writing to support that basically.
Oh yeah. Well, what we're gonna read here is gonna be pretty pretty much if the nail hasn't been in the coffin by this time, we done overkilled the coffin at this point with nails because what we're gonna read
Wow.
here is gonna strictly show, that the Confederacy or so-called Confederacy wasn't an actual nation. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
for that here, Article 2, Section 2, the president shall be the commander in chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states. So I know last week when we was reading the president's powers. We saw a lot of executive powers, a
Right.
lot of executive orders in the independence of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it wasn't anything where all three branches were voting or deciding on this matter. It was strictly presidential power, and he was acting underneath war powers. And this is pretty much showing here, highlighting who he had command over as well, being the president,
Right. Okay.
army, navy, as well as the militia.
And like we stated last week, I can fully understand and see why they killed him, because he made that executive decision without everyone being on the same page, all three branches being
Correct.
on the same page. So I
Correct.
definitely see why there was a lot of opposition about it.
Let me go ahead and share this here. All right. Is it showing up clear on your end?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. I'll go ahead and start here on the first, uh, I'll say first three paragraphs here.
Okay.
So again, we want to highlight this is straight from the Library of Congress. This is accessible to each and every one of us in plain sight. President Johnson's Amnesty Proclamation, done at the city of Washington, the 29th day of May, in the year of our Lord, 1865. Andrew Johnson. President Johnson's Amnesty Proclamation. Whereas the President of the United States, of the 8th day of December, AD 1863, and on the 26th day of March, AD 1864, did with the object to suppress the existing rebellion, to induce all persons to return to their loyalty, and to restore the authority of the United States. Issue proclamations offering amnesty and pardon to certain persons who had directly or by implication participated in the said rebellion, and whereas many persons who had so engaged in said rebellion have, since the issuance of said proclamation, failed or neglected to take the benefits of offered thereby. So I'll just stop right here. Pretty much is showing here, or what I'm getting from this first two paragraphs is they're offering an out for the
Mm-hmm.
rebelling states. Pretty much saying anybody who were directly involved with the rebellion, so any soldiers, generals,
Right.
lieutenants, um, also any congressmen or former congressmen of the United States who, went ahead and wanted to be a part of said rebellion, any of those, this is pretty much he's offering an out with this
Mm-hmm.
amnesty. And then also it says here, or by implication participated directly or by implication. So if you would just, they
Even
caught
if
you
you
by,
didn't directly,
correct,
they definitely made an out for everyone who was against it.
correct, correct.
Wow. Okay.
And whereas many persons who have been justly deprived of all claim to amnesty and pardon thereunder by reason of their participation, directly or by implication, is said in said rebellion and continued hostility to the government of the United States since the date of said proclamation, now desire to apply for and obtain amnesty pardon. So it looks like he's making them also apply for this. So it's
Wow.
given, but if we see fit that you've done certain war crimes that we did,
Right.
can't even be forgiven, then we not going to
So it's
accept.
really still under their discretion in regards to who that out is given to, which again,
Correct.
perfectly planned to favor their ultimate goal.
Hmm. Correct. Correct. Correct.
Wow.
Almost
Okay.
like what is it? Kind of just trying to figure out the bad seeds in your
Mm,
organization, or kind of trying to
right,
vet
right.
that, vet out anybody who,
Exactly.
and I think that point there we'll see, as we continue to read this amnesty proclamation, we'll see like why I kind of use that term to kind of vet who was really for this
Mm-hmm.
fictitious government and who wasn't. But definitely
Right.
seems like a vetting process. So great call out there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Did you want to pick up here at the
Yeah.
two? Okay.
Okay. To the end, therefore, that the authority of the government of the United States may be restored and that peace, order, and freedom may be established. I, Andrew Johnson, President of the United States, do proclaim and declare that I hereby grant to all persons who have directly or indirectly participated in the existing rebellion, except as hereinafter accepted, amnesty and pardon, with restoration of all rights of property except as to slaves. That's a hinge pin right there, except as to slaves, and except in cases where legal proceedings under the laws of the United States providing for the confiscation of property of persons engaged in rebellion. Have been instituted, but on the condition, nevertheless, that every person shall take it and subscribe to the following oath or affirmation. So I'll stop right there. It's kind of long there.
Yeah.
But basically, they definitely made sure they put in there except as to slaves and except in cases where legal proceedings under the law of the United States providing for the confiscation of property. So basically, they put exceptions in there. Basically, it's not for all persons. Not only do you have to apply for and obtain amnesty and pardon, these particular people or groups, again, would have been us, was not allowed,
Mm.
basically, if I'm reading that correctly.
No, I think you're on the right track there.
Mm-hmm.
I think this part here where it says, except as in hereafter accepted, amnesty and pardon with restoration of all rights of property, because I think they even go on to say like kind of give like another um, verbiage or another sentence regarding like property and who will
Okay,
pretty much have it. But they're saying I guess they would be allowed to reclaim their property, everything
got you.
except for slaves.
Oh,
Mm.
okay. So I misunderstood that then. Except for,
Slaves.
okay, I got you. Got you. So I misunderstood that. Thank you for clearing that up. Okay. So let me go back. Because this was such a long sentence,
Yeah.
paragraph. So I'll start back where it says, right after that, except as to
Okay.
slaves and except in cases where legal proceedings under the laws of the United States providing for the confiscation of property of persons engaged in rebellion. Okay.
Mhm.
Have been instituted, but on the condition, nevertheless, that every such person shall take and subscribe to the following oath or affirmation. So basically, you're taking an oath for the amnesty, and thenceforward keep and maintain said oath and violate, and which oath shall be registered for permanent preservation and shall be of the tenor and effect following to wit. So is that saying that basically once you take that oath that you're permanently protected?
Hmm.
Is that what that's saying?
Register for permanent preservation and shall be of the tenor and effect following. I believe it's saying that the below affirmation after which we'll pretty much start to read here is going to
Okay,
um this is
explain.
who I guess it is who we're allowing to take this affirmation. So I think once
Okay,
we read this, it'll like start strictly identifying who they're allowing to take this oath. Uh
okay,
yeah.
okay. I can read that. Can you scroll down a little? I do solemnly swear or affirm in the presence of Almighty God that I will henceforth faithfully support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Union of the states thereunder, and that I will, in like manner, abide by and faithfully support all laws and proclamations which have been made during the existence existing rebellion with reference to the emancipation of slaves. So help me God. The following classes of persons are accepted from the benefits of this proclamation.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to stop there. So
Yeah.
after this line,
Mm-hmm.
anybody below this will not be allowed to take this affirmation pretty much,
Okay.
or take
Got you.
this pledge.
Got you.
Okay.
And so the people that are taking the pledge, basically they, are supporting the Constitution and the
Mhm.
Union of the States, not the
Correct.
treaties or anything of that nature, but the Constitution.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. First, all who are or shall have been pretended civil or diplomatic officers or otherwise domestic or foreign agents of the pretended Confederate government. Okay. So
Mhm.
that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very first and in your face.
Right here. Yeah. Like
Confederate government.
for the
Yeah.
pretended civil or diplomatic officers. So it's
Mm,
really like he's just stunting on, these the people who rebelled from the Union, the US government
right.
in this situation. And also here, if we think back on, who we know the Confederacy is,
Mm-hmm.
they're even identifying that they're not the Confederate government. Even
Mm,
if they established and separated, they
wow.
still not acknowledging them as the Confederate government.
Confederate
This is
government.
pretended
Pretended. Right.
Confederate government.
Wow.
That's why I was saying this is pretty much like overkill at this point of what we've been
Exactly.
saying. So the
Wow.
the president at this time, I believe what Andrew Johnson has
Mm-hmm.
clearly identified that this was a whole fictitious war basically,
Exactly. Exactly.
because he's identifying them as not even being the real Confederacy at this point.
Confederacy.
hmm The pretended Confederate government, and this is
Wow.
again, like you said, Chief Quietwater, this is just the first one he's outlining. But
Right.
for it to be the
Right.
first one he's highlighting, like that shows in itself, like, yeah, these people who are claiming to be, Confederates and they're having ancestry,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote rednecks who walk around with the Confederate flag. Again,
Exactly.
they're honoring our ancestors. Maybe
Right.
the image of the flag or something is different, but the name Confederacy, that's a
That was
native.
us. Right.
Correct. That was us, and we know that from the Iroquois Confederacy,
Mm-hmm.
the Muskogee, the Creek Confederacy.
Right.
That's where they got it from, and so
That's
this is just
crazy.
further proof here.
Pretended Confederate government. Wow.
hmm
Okay. Second, all who left judicial stations under the United States to aid the rebellion. So basically, anyone who went to help um, the opposition at that time
hmm
and
And
who
just
left their stations,
and which branch too.
the judicial.
hmm
Wow.
And
Got
we
you.
and we just highlighted last week, or when we was reading the proclamation, that that was an executive order.
Executive
The
order.
judicial branch had nothing to do with it, and the congressional branch, with Congress, the legislative branch
Right.
had nothing to do with it. So Congress didn't write any laws for the so-called newly freed people, and the
Mm-hmm.
judicial branch had nothing to implement, or no laws to implement as far as that. So the judicial branch as well as the legislative branch, it seems like they had people say, "We ain't with this shit. He's tripping,"
Exactly.
and
Right.
leave. So just
I
wanted to
mean,
highlight
wow.
that.
Okay. Third, all who shall have been military or naval officers of said pretended Confederate government above the rank of colonel in the Army and lieutenant in the Navy. So they're being very specific in regards to who they are pretty much Xing out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I wonder why above the rank of the colonel in the Army and the lieutenant in the
Hmm.
Navy. You have any thoughts on that in regards to why they would specifically um, mention that?
Just off of what we've read in past treaties and things of that nature, those were their warlords basically.
Got you. Okay.
So
Right.
anybody who's over the rank of colonel or lieutenant,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess the union's eyes is saying these people had major power of influence.
Got you.
So we want to
Right.
make
Which
sure we
makes
have
sense.
eyes on them and control
Mm-hmm.
them, or make sure they're, imprisoned at certain locations because they
Right.
obviously had the voice of, all these people. So
Mm-hmm. That
if
makes
we
sense.
allow them, to take this amnesty or take this pledge, who's to say this won't happen again?
Again, right. Okay. All who left seats in Congress of the United States to aid the rebellion. So that further,
Mhm,
goes into what you were saying earlier, just like the judicial stations.
mhm.
Um, all who resigned or tendered resignations of their commissions in the Army or Navy of the United States to evade duty in resisting the rebellion. So again, anyone who went against it, they're basically just calling them out.
Yeah, yeah. They're
Okay.
being, like you said, very specific. Like
Mm-hmm.
anybody who was in judicial branch, legislative branch, anybody who was in the Union Army and or
Mm-hmm.
Navy and decided to flee, all you folks, we got you listed, and we know they account.
Right.
They account for
Right.
everything. That's one thing we've highlighted in pretty much um, every video and every document we've read. They account for everything, so they
For
know.
everything. So they know who they are.
They know who the people who abandoned and didn't
Mm-hmm.
come back, who went AWOL basically.
Right.
Let's
Okay.
see. I
You
could
want to
pick
pick
up.
up with number six?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pick up here.
Okay.
Six, all who have engaged in any way in treating otherwise than lawfully as prisoners of war, persons
Mm.
found in the United States service as officers, soldiers, seamen, or in other capacities. So all who have engaged in any way in treating otherwise than lawfully as prisoners of war. And this pretty much just shows who these quote unquote slaves were on these plantations. They were
Mm-hmm.
prisoners of war.
Prisoners of war.
Mhm.
Right.
And we know that because there was never a treaty signed after the third or the second Seminole War. After the
Mm-hmm.
second Seminole War, we know there was a third, but there was no treaty. There's also no
Exactly.
treaty for the Civil War. But it also is showing here that anybody who I guess engaged in capturing of any Union soldiers or
Mm-hmm.
Union personnel, um, anybody who was treated unfairly, or anybody who did the punishing of those prisoners of war at that time, we're
Oh,
not, allowing you to have any to take this pledge as well. At least that's how
got you. Engage
s-
anyway in treating. Yeah,
seven.
that's what it
Let's read that.
sounds like. Yeah.
Okay. Seventh, all persons who have been or are absentees from the United States for the purpose of aiding the rebellion. So all persons from the United States. So I believe this, how I'm reading this is any uh, pretty much free white male
Mm-hmm.
who wanted to say, may have been, in another state that didn't secede and just wanted to
Got
join the
you.
fight. You're will be you're pretty much aiding that rebellion, so you'll be listed on this list
List as
who
well.
can no longer, take that pledge or anything like that.
Okay.
Eighth, all military and naval officers in the rebel service who were educated by the government in the military academy at West Point or the United States Naval, Academy. So they're being very specific. So
Wow, they are breaking it all the way
yeah,
down.
anybody who in I know West Point is a huge military base that goes back along with tons of history as far as the
Right.
U.S. government. So they're saying anybody who we spent our resources to train
Mm-hmm.
at both West Point and the Naval Academy, nah, you
You
damn sure not
basically done
coming
went
back.
against us and you on the list.
hmm You used our training to go against us? Oh
Right,
hell no.
right,
Mm-mm. Nah, this this pledge here, this ain't for you.
right. Which fast forward, thinking of people who have fought in even recent wars, and the
Mhm.
government pretty much just leave them out to just fend for themselves after fighting in the wars and things like that. I mean, this
Mhm.
goes back to kind of ties into this. It's like,
Yeah.
what am I trying to say? Well, no, that they wouldn't be fighting. Never mind. That point didn't make too much sense. Never mind.
But I think I know what you're saying as well. Like those who were, abandoned as far as, they fought for said country,
Right.
came back, they didn't get any, they were like
Any support in
any
regards to,
support
yeah, right.
financially,
Uh-huh.
anything, especially if you're on one of those, we see it all the time in movies where they're on these small, Marines going on
Mm-hmm.
these, if you get caught, you can't say you with the US government type of,
Right. Just leaving them out
just leaving them
for,
out to dry like
yeah,
that. So it's like we
exactly.
trained you and you're going to be now an enemy of the state, basically. Oh no,
Right.
we
Right.
definitely can't have you. So I think
Mm-hmm.
no, you're right on that point. Ninth, all persons who held the pretended offices of governors of states in insurrection against the United States. So
Mm.
again, any of those people who tried to set up their own governments, their own
Mm-hmm.
local governments, state governments, all of you all are on that list as well. Because again, as we just read in the readings beginning this video, the Constitution, Art of Section 10 says, no state shall enter any treaties,
Right.
alliances, or confederations. So
Mm. Wow.
they're sticking to their word in regards to, they're being in alignment in regards to their pretty much foundation with the Constitution.
Right. Right.
10th, all persons who left their homes within the jurisdiction and protection of the United States and passed beyond the federal military lines into the so-called Confederate States. Again, throwing that shade,
Mm-hmm.
so-called
So-called.
Confederate. We know
Wow.
you niggas ain't the Confederates.
Exactly.
You you
Exactly.
you were slaves, because we the ones who brought you on this boat. How dare you want
That's
to
crazy.
go against us?
Exactly.
So-called Confederate States for the purpose of aid and rebellion. So I have to make a correction. This is where they were stating any civilians or citizens who left their homes in those
Got
Union
you.
states to fight. That's who they're
They're
saying
referencing.
we're accounting
Okay.
for you too. So you may have left the
Mm-hmm.
bakery. We knew you ain't left the bakery to go over in the Indian, quote unquote, Indian territory.
Mm-hmm.
We accounted for you because again, just like the Union, the Confederate accounted for who they have on their, staffs and anything like
Right.
that. So you want to read
Exactly.
them records, you better hope that got caught up in the fire or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
11th, all persons who have been engaged in the destructions of the commerce of the United States upon the high seas, and all persons who have made raids into the United States from Canada or been engaged in destroying the commerce of the United States upon the lakes and rivers that separate the British provinces from the United States. So anybody who's trying to halt trade, pretty much.
Mm. Got
And
you.
being very specific, a lot of waterways. We know that's the
Right.
main reason why they came to the Creek Confederacy, because
Mm-hmm.
we were able to have such great access to
Imports, exports, and
imports,
things of that
exports, and
nature.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Mexico, we was able to hit all of these areas being
Right.
in that southeast location. So they're saying anybody who aided in destroying any type of you know, goods that we needed to even fight
Mm-hmm.
this war, we have you all as well. 12, all persons who at all persons who at the time when they seek to obtain the benefits hereof by taking the oath herein prescribed are in military, naval, or civil confinement or custody, or under bonds of the civil, military, or naval authorities or agents of the United States as prisoners of war or persons detained, or offenses of any kind either before or after conviction. I
Mm.
mean, this one again. This one is a little confusing here for me. All persons who, at the time when they seek to obtain the benefits hereof by taking the oath herein prescribed, So all persons who are in military, naval, or civil confinement or custody, or in the bonds of the civil, military, or naval authorities or agents of the United States as prisoners of war or persons detained for offenses of any kind, either before or after conviction. So I believe what this is saying, that anybody who we've caught, who we've detained, um, I guess I want to say probably early in the fight or early in
Right,
the
right.
war, who we just like, yeah, we gonna keep you here.
Keep you,
We're
right,
not giving you the chance to say, now I want to be a part, because you was
right.
already underneath our jurisdiction. We already had you in
Exactly.
containment camp or this military camp. So we're not even gonna let you even take this pledge either.
And they're
Agents of the
even
United States. Yeah.
even further saying either before or after conviction. So
Exactly.
basically, even if
Whether
you're
we
not even convicted,
correct.
you
Even if you're not
don't
even,
even think about it.
yeah, convicted, nah, it doesn't matter.
Mm,
So in the end of this, kind of going along with in the independence of the judiciary system or the
right.
judicial branch.
Exactly.
So you can see it's like these Andrew Johnson is kind of walking that same line of using that executive power.
Exactly. Right. I
13th.
can.
Oh,
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can pick up here.
Okay.
Okay, so 13th, all persons who have voluntarily participated in said rebellion and the estimated value of whose taxable property is over $20,000. So anyone who basically voluntarily participated, and if they have any property over $20,000, you can't take this oath. So
Okay.
that's very specific.
Yeah. Voluntarily participating in the estimated value of whose taxable property. Yeah, that's very, yeah, that's almost seems like
Mhm.
they're calling out a few people like yeah,
Right.
we don't call you by name, but those who was taxable had property, yeah,
Uh-huh.
we know, yeah. So yeah, that's very very specific.
Wow. Okay. 14th, all persons who have taken the oath of amnesty as prescribed in the President's proclamation on December 8th, 1863, or an oath of allegiance to the government of the United States since the date of said proclamation, and who have not thenceforward kept and maintained the same and violate. So I guess even after you have taken these persons who have actually taken the oath, and they have not, I guess, maintained, I'm not too sure what inviolate mean. Maybe we can look that up. I'm not too sure. Inviolate. Free or safe from injury. Secure. So it says free or safe from injury or violation. So let me see, since the date of said proclamation, and who have not thenceforth kept and maintained the same. Um, not too sure. Do you have any thoughts on this one? You're muted.
Like so, it seems like those who took the proclamation, because like you stated, this in part, and who have not thenceforth kept and maintained the same. And if we just use safe from violation, so haven't violated anything. Uh,
Okay.
is who have and kept and maintained the same in violation. So I'm guessing it's saying that anybody who has taken this pledge and kind of violated
Okay,
what said
got
in
you.
this pledge, then
After the fact of
correct
taking,
after the
got
fact.
you. Okay, got you. Okay. Provided that special application may be made to the president for pardon by any persons belonging to the accepted classes, and such clemency will be liberally extended as may be consistent with the facts of the case and the peace and dignity of the United States. So it just basically sums up what was read prior to all of this, that the president can also um, liberally extend,
Mhm.
I guess, and may be consistent with the facts of the case and the peace and dignity of the United States. I guess it just sums up kind of what we've read.
Yeah. Like we have these, exceptions and these certain, limitations, but again, with the president's, I guess, power will allow him or put it in his hands to decide if on a case by case basis. That's why I'm
Got you.
kind of looking at it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The Secretary of State will establish rules and regulations for administering and recording the said amnesty oath so as to ensure its benefit to the people and guard the government against fraud. So
Mhm.
basically, again, they're going to account for everything, establish their rules and regulations, basically keeping good records in regards to who these people are and if anyone goes against the oath, they will be able to identify that person.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And testimony whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the United States to be affixed, done at the city of Washington, the 29th day of May in the year of our Lord 1865, and of independence of the United States, the 18th, the 89th, I'm sorry. So
Mhm.
again, that language, independence of the United States,
Mhm.
is being used more frequently and more frequently.
Correct. Correct. And again, what that is pretty much identifying is that this is, again, an executive order.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Johnson is using, his wartime powers, acting as commander in chief and issuing out this amnesty proclamation. And that kind of goes back here where it says president for pardon by any person belonging to the accepted classes, and such clemency will be liberally extended as may be consistent with the facts. So they're saying that pretty much it's in his hands at this point
Mm-hmm.
in
Right.
regards to, who he'll be, who he'll possibly make exceptions for, or
Mm-hmm.
if it'll be strictly what was outlined within these exceptions, these 14 exceptions. But
Okay.
again, like you highlighted, in the independence of the United States, no judiciary or judicial branch, no legislative branch, strictly the executive in regards to writing this here.
Yeah.
And so that wraps up that.
Okay.
But again, no treaty. We also want to make sure
Right.
we're highlighting that this isn't a treaty. We've seen how a treaty looks. You'll
Mm-hmm.
have signed officers, signed lieutenants, signed colonels, as well
Right.
as signed representatives of the United States. This isn't that.
It's
So
just an executive order. This is what
correct.
it is, and nobody has to agree with me.
hmm This is a proclamation, a mandate,
Mm.
something like that. It's not anything signed between two nations, and that again highlights the pretty much the shade here, pretended
Mm-hmm.
Confederate government.
Pretended Confederate
Because
government. Right.
why would we sign a treaty if this isn't even the actual government?
Right.
Why would we even
Exactly.
exhaust ourselves to even play with you when we know you're our child living underneath our
Mm-hmm.
roof?
Right.
It's just
Right.
like, your mom say, "Oh, yeah, son, I don't want to go to you gonna do because you're underneath my roof. That's what I'm
Exactly.
gonna say anyway. So
Correct.
I'm not even gonna have a conversation because you're not even on that level."
Exactly.
That
That's pretty
yeah.
much what it says.
hmm So when they say, when did the Civil War end? It never ended. There was no
It
treaty
never
signed.
ended. Yeah.
Why was there no treaty signed as well? A fictitious government
Right.
going against another fictitious government trying to mask as an actual government.
Exactly. Right. Hmm.
Trying to mask as an actual government.
And did a very good job of doing so.
Oh yeah, because a lot of people say, yeah, the Confederate nation, the Confederate state,
Right.
like, yeah, what you're talking about with your ancestors, your
Hmm.
ancestry. was a fictitious government. There was no Confederate nation in regards to the Civil War.
Right,
Just
right.
some, again, rebellious people, rebellious white Europeans
Mm-hmm.
fighting against their own government.
Their own government, right.
The bird trying to eat the bird at this point. But again, they
Mm-hmm.
try to make it almost seem like, yeah, United States beat the Confederate, but
Not the
that's
case.
not the real Confederacy.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
So it's
And the
definitely
fact that this stuff is in plain sight and
plain sight.
it is true it's
Hmm.
real history coming directly from the Library of Congress,
Hmm.
and it just makes everything just superficial and
Yeah,
fake, and we just literally go along for whatever reason with this narrative,
exactly. The
when
story.
we have read, we have proved over a year now that all of these things, and even more so with this, like you said, driving these nails in the coffin, that is fictitious.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
They're great storytellers. They're great with the pen
right.
in regards to knowing how to write certain things, what to
Mm-hmm.
exclude. But again, we're using their own documents to tell our story, people.
Right, right,
Like plain and simple. Read between the lines, read between what they're saying.
right,
Pretended Confederate government. That's not the real Confederacy.
right.
One of the 12 steps. What
Mm-hmm.
Confederacy had jurisdiction over this land prior to the European?
Mm,
What
yeah,
Confederacy? We're telling you how to do this step by
right,
step. We're not
exactly.
historians. We're regular, everyday people
We're just
working our
reading and
job.
comprehending.
Read and comprehend. First thing they teach you in elementary,
Exactly.
read and comprehend. That's it. Putting two and two together. And that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what we're doing using their own documents, just filling in the holes to tell our story.
Right,
Right here.
exactly. Yeah.
It's right here. So great, great build. We gotta always give our flowers to this group of people here.
Oh yeah.
This group of people here who've done nothing for us.
Nothing for the last 50 years.
Mhm.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Who is again still, keeping the fight alive. Think I saw a tweet
Oh
saying
wow.
let's focus on voting rights and things of that nature. And I'm like,
And again, they're pushing that narrative so hard.
hmm.
You know, and I'm sure that the majority of them know the history,
Oh yeah,
you know. So why are we voting when again nothing is being done for
for us,
our
for
group
our
of
vote.
people, specifically
Yeah.
for our group of people?
Hmm. Voting when nothing is even being actioned on when we vote.
Right,
So it's
exactly.
like, what are we going to waste our time, our 2 hours? Some jobs pay for when you going to file your ballot. Some jobs
Oh
don't.
wow.
Some
Okay.
jobs you just taking off and you ain't even making no money. So you just
Right,
out
right.
there just wasting time.
Wasting time when nothing is even on the table.
Nothing is even on the table
Nothing
for
even on
you.
the table.
Like, damn, what you here for? It's
Right.
like somebody invite, like you uninvited to somebody's house to eat.
Right.
Nobody invite you. You just standing there with a plate. I just
That's
wanted
a
to
good
give y'all my
analogy.
plates. I just wanted to
That's
give
a
y'all some
very,
plates.
very good analogy.
Appreciate it,
Yeah.
but shit. All right,
It,
bye.
right.
Bye. Like, come on.
Uninvited. Right.
Uninvited guest. And that's exactly why
That's a good one.
why we're fighting for these voting rights, or why
Yeah.
they're fighting, these people keep
Right.
pushing these voting rights, because it's plain and simple, people. They don't we were never supposed to be accounted for as
Exactly.
citizens underneath the United States government.
We were never accounted for. There was no intent for anything for us.
Nothing.
And we have been watered down, watered down, watered down, and continue
Hmm.
to be watered down with all of the other classes or group of people that are on top of our head.
Mm-hmm.
And we're fighting literally a fight with no kind of direction.
No, state of
We're
confusion.
fighting to be a part of something, like you said, that they don't want us.
Mhm.
They don't want us to be a part of it.
And let's just read this, and I'm telling you, it's going to be as clear as day. Since
Hmm.
again, its establishment in 1971. Again, we just saw that was the gold standard act the same year they took the money out. The Congressional Black Caucus has been committed to using the full constitutional power, statutory authority, and financial resources of the federal government to ensure that African Americans and other marginalized communities in the United States have the opportunity to achieve the American dream. The caucus is chaired by Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. As part of this commitment, the CBC has fought for the past 48 years to empower these citizens and address their legislative concerns by pursuing a policy agenda that includes, but is not limited to, the following. So, again,
Yeah,
as Chief
right.
Quietwater stated, want to have everybody else in like again, to use that
Hmm.
analogy, we're uninvited guests to their house, but
Exactly.
when we have something, we want to bring everybody.
Right, right.
Like what? What kind of backwards ass shit is going
Oh,
on?
right. You're
Yeah, we
right.
having a potluck. Y'all all come, and then
Hmm.
y'all eat first too.
Right. Y'all eat
Y'all
first.
not only come, y'all eat first too. Y'all get first pickings. Come on, people.
Exactly. We'll stand in the back of the
We'll
line.
stand in the back and wait till everybody has
And then by
everybody
the
eaten.
time we get up to the food, everything gone.
Everything gone. Ain't even got the bone marrow to make no soup. Like it's crazy. And
Man.
again, the same stuff every
Yeah.
48, 50 years, every civil rights act they want to have, doing asking for the same shit. Why are
The
we asking
same
for the
stuff
same shit
that we
every
never get.
that we never get?
We never
Reforming
get.
criminal justice systems. That's not even specific to us, but okay. Combating
Hmm.
voter suppression. Still nothing specific, but again, the same agenda since 1965. Expanding access to world-class education in pre-K. Same agenda since
Yeah.
1965. Let us get same education. That's nothing. We see today that the education that they gave us, what we're reading,
Exactly.
is not the same.
Right. Right.
So it's like, what are we even doing? Then we
Right.
just, compare that to other congressional caucuses. They're very specific in regards to who they're fighting for.
Hmm.
The Congressional Hispanic Caucus addresses national and international issues that craft policies that impact the Hispanic community. Period.
Period. Right.
Not other marginalized communities,
Hmm.
not Asians, not African Americans, blacks,
No.
greens. They're very specific
Hmm.
in knowing what they want to do. Why is everybody so specific except for the people who are supposed to represent us?
Right.
Comprising members of Congress of Asian and Pacific Islander descent and members who have a strong dedication in promoting the well-being of the Asian American and Pacific Islander community. Period.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing
Very
else.
specific.
So why is it that these people are the only
That look
ones that
like
have
us.
that exactly that look like us? We have this in ours. Other
Hmm.
marginal. Nobody else has other. Everybody else
Right.
is very specific.
Yeah.
But these are the people who we have to make sure we highlight and make sure they don't represent us and make
Right.
sure they know that they don't represent us.
Right. Exactly.
Because again, 48 years,
It's
71,
a
so it's
long
51 years
time.
now,
Right.
and we have nothing to show for it.
It's horrible.
Come on, come
Yeah.
on, shoot,
I agree for sure. We got to
hmm
open up our eyes.
yeah. And hopefully, with these readings that we're doing, these videos, we've
Hmm.
highlighted. Hopefully, we've highlighted it for you again. It's overkill, like Chief Quietwater stated. We didn't drove the nail into the soil at this point. We didn't
Right.
through the coffin.
Hmm. You're right.
We didn't bash through the coffin, guys. So again, we're showing you who our true enemies are and who we are as a people.
Yeah.
As a people. and just using again their own library, their own
Their
documents,
own information
their
that
own
everyone has
information.
access to.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're not making nothing up. We're pulling straight from their own Library of Congress, their own documents, their own
Mhm.
accounting.
Which should be done in the school system as well.
Correct.
This is where the information should come from, not some school book that they can put whatever they want as they have,
Correct.
to indoctrinate us from 5 years old,
To 18.
to 18.
Have
They
13 years of brainwashing, and
right,
we wonder why we have these people leading us and
right.
nobody does. Like, again, I think last year this time is the first time I even heard about these people. And I was
Yeah, I
disgusted
did not
when I
have a
did,
clue.
you know?
Right. hmm And
And I
they
was
should be on the forefront, not the
on the
preachers,
forefront.
not the rappers,
Correct.
entertainers, actresses, that
Mm-hmm.
are not even well versed in
Mm-hmm.
representing us in most cases.
Correct.
These faces should be the ones who are out there,
Out there. We always
Um,
see the Jesse Jacksons and the
right,
Al Sharpton
right.
fighting the good fight.
hmm
What? Why don't we see
Oh,
any of
yeah.
these people out there in on the forefront? Because I'm pretty
Writing
sure.
agendas for us,
Mm-hmm.
putting things on the table for us to vote for.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Correct.
hasn't happened.
Has it happened? And it won't happen
Right.
because we see it hasn't happened in 51 years.
51 years, right.
Nothing
Exactly.
specific. They just oh yeah, y'all need an extra vote. Yeah, whatever y'all want to go ahead and happen. Yeah, we're happy to vote along to get along crew.
Right.
All these people are is to get along crew.
hmm
Y'all mind voting for this for the Hispanic community to get XYZ? Sure. For the Asian community
That
to get
just doesn't make
XYZ.
any sense. Right.
And I'm
No
pretty sure
sense at all.
they won't even ask for nothing probably. I don't even think they
Right.
ask for nothing.
Right. They're offered things. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They are
Exactly.
offered things. Just like when that killing took place here in Atlanta, it took them no time. That
Hmm.
um the guy who killed the people at the Asian
At the
spas.
massage,
I
massage
mean, that
parlor.
took no time
No
for,
time.
and
A month.
they were on board with, oh, we need to, something
Mm.
has to happen. But,
Help our
we
Asian
went,
brothers.
right,
We
right.
went a whole
No,
year, nothing,
exactly.
still
Nothing
nothing.
at all.
So what do
And then,
you?
like we mentioned before, with Chief Alligator about the George Floyd Act,
Hmm.
like that should have been an absolute no-brainer.
Correct.
You
Soon as we
know,
saw the video, everything should have
yeah,
been implemented within a month with the quickness
exactly.
that the
Absolutely.
the Asian hate bill was was
Exactly.
voted upon. We didn't
hmm
see shit on video with that.
Nothing.
You know what I'm
Nothing
saying?
at all.
And that just
Exactly.
goes to show, why do our group of people have to go above and beyond to provide
hmm
XYZ when others don't? It's
They don't.
because first and foremost, we was never supposed to be a part of this government. And then
hmm
we have these get along crew members who are just there.
They're working with
Warm
the
bodies.
suppression
They're
to
working with the
suppress us.
suppression. Correct.
Yep.
So,
Um,
all enemies aren't the ones who you think. It's these people as well.
right.
Don't do nothing
Yep.
but vote on what's handed to them.
Mm,
And when they do come up with something, it's all about research. Let's research
right.
how we done did a year's worth of research
Exactly.
that started from the beginning of this whole US government. And
You're
we identified
absolutely right.
everything and what we need.
You are absolutely right. Wow.
How much research do you
Well, we
need
just
to
need to
help?
send a link to each and every one of them. Like, hey,
Exactly.
here we are, right here.
This is it.
We've done the hard work for y'all.
Like that, it don't take no time. Again, the information ain't hidden, but
Exactly.
these the people who we continue, or our groups of people who like to participate in this circus act to
Yeah.
get the new head clown in office.
Right.
This is what they love to do, and wonder why we have no protections underneath this government.
This government at all. Yeah.
But We just gonna leave that right there. Um,
All right.
we gave them their flowers for this week, so
Right.
we highlighted them. But yeah, next week we'll pick right back up. But hopefully, with what we read with this Amnesty Proclamation, we showing you all that for one, that was not the real Confederacy.
Hmm.
And Andrew Johnson clearly pointed pretended Confederate government. And two, the war never ended with that. There was no treaty signed.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it kind of even alludes to what happened. Just had the anniversary of what January 6th.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
The insurrection. Yeah, you're
the
right.
insurrection. So it never ended,
Mm-mm-mm.
people.
Never
Never
ending.
ended. Never ended.
Mhm.